Dangote Refinery has no operational license. Quality of petroleum products inferior than those imported. Nmdpra says, can you imagine? Oh boy, this is the plan of the cartel. The people that are after this fuel subsidy of 18, they are the ones plotting this kind of thing, I can see. So they say now it's not they know that Dangote Refinery has no operational license. Can they say that to all the shareholders, all the past presidents, military major generals, and everybody that has put money in that business? Can they tell that to everybody that Dangote has no operational license? Eh? This is the job of the cartel, I can see. I don't trust this NMDRA. So how did they build the refinery to the point it is today, and they're already giving them crude, they're already producing and selling? How did they get to that level? Why didn't they secure the license before starting to construct the refinery in the first place? This guy, I don't trust you. Dangote refinery only has 45, is only 45% completed, pushing to become a monopoly. Can you imagine? So the Dangote Refinery and Petrochemical Company has not been issued any license by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to operate in the country. As such, it is operating illegally. The authority of Chief Executive Mr. Farouk Ahmed revealed this during an interview in Abuja. Farouk said the allegations raised by Dangote Refinery that its operations are being scuttled owing to lack of supply of crude oil by international oil companies are untrue. Specifically, he said, contrary to the narrative being pushed by the chief executive of the refinery, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, that the company is set for operation, it is indeed just about 45% completed. A company's operating license is an official document issued by the responsible government authority, usually the municipal government or another regulatory agency, that allows the company to operate legally in a specific location and under certain conditions. So with the revelation by the Nmdpra that Dangote Refinery has not been issued operational license, it therefore means the refinery is currently being operated illegally in Nigeria. So the vice president of the oil and gas at Dangote Industries Limited, Devakuma Edwin, had accused international oil companies of refusing to sell crude oil to their refinery, adding that the company buys crude from IOCs at $6 above the market price. So Edwin had said, it seems that the IOC's objective is to ensure that our petrol refinery fails. It is either they are deliberately asking for a ridiculous, humongous premium, or they simply state that crude is not available. So his assertions differ from Section 109 of the PIA, which provides that the sale of crude oil to refinery must reflect commercial viability. PIA is the Petroleum Industry Act. So while the law allows for a willing buyer and a willing seller arrangement, such transactions must be done in a manner that will not make the seller run at loss. Section 109 of the PIA, which deals with the national crude oil requirement of refineries, states that the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, that NUPRC, shall base the allocation of the domestic crude oil supply obligation applicable to respective leases on the national crude oil demand requirement supply curve, which is the supply curve of crude oil or condensate that can be supplied on a voluntary basis at the prevailing international market price. The section reads, the supply of crude oil shall be commercially negotiated between the lessee, and the crude oil refining license, having regard to the prevailing international market price for similar grades of crude oil. Oh boy. So the buyer shall provide the payment guarantees as required by the applicable seller. The payment for crude oil purchased pursuant to the obligations shall be in the US dollars or naira as may be agreed between the seller and the buyer. A lessee who has not complied with the DCSO, okay, where a willing buyer exists, shall not be granted an export permit for the export of crude oil from his lease area. Oh boy. So speaking on the operations of the company, the Nmdpra boss said the government cannot rely heavily on one refinery to feed the nation. Specifically, he said Dangote Refinery is requesting that the regulators should suspend or stop all importation of petroleum products, especially AGO and jet kero, and direct all marketers to the refinery. This, he added, is not good for the nation in terms of energy security, noting that it would also make Dangote a monopoly. Okay? So he said, well, just like you rightly asked, there are a lot of concerns about supply of petroleum products nationwide, and the claims by some media houses that we're trying to scuttle Dangote refinery, that is not so. Dangote Refinery is still in the pre-commissioning stage. It has not been licensed yet. We haven't licensed it yet. They are still in the pre-commissioning stage. I think they are about 45% completion rather. Can you imagine? In completion rather. So what the question now is, you have not given the company license to operate, but it's already operating. Who is fooling who here? Now you are using the propaganda of monopoly to scuttle that Dangote business. We know that Dangote is good in monopolistic system, but when will something work in Nigeria for the benefit of the people? Because if the Dangote refinery works very fine, it will provide perfect market competition for petroleum products between locally produced ones and the imported ones, and that will regulate the market in a more healthy manner. But now, who is now becoming monopolistic? Because I'm sure the interest of the importers is also protected here, and then Dangote's interest is also crashing here. So only God knows where we are as a people. And somebody is saying some of you are talking with lack of knowledge. Do you not base your statement on propaganda? I have some friends that work with Chevron that told me that the government mandated them to sell crude to Dangote. Surprisingly, Dangote showed up without payment guarantee from a bank, which is a basic requirement before anyone is a supplier with crude. So they want to do the Nigerian way without a guarantee from a bank. Chevron has no way of being sure of their payment, but the government forced them to supply the crude. Okay, anyway, so ask yourself, why is Dangote refusing to provide a bank guarantee of payment, yet they want crude? Why are they insisting on becoming the only supplier of refined product? If we rely on them alone, is this not the same thing they did with cement and what has been the benefit to the nation? Now we are hearing the quality of their refined product isn't good enough compared to others. Let's be careful with these billionaires who have fed fat on the nation. Whenever they do the right thing, I, for one, would be their biggest supporter. But please allow the regulators to do their work and make sure these companies operate in a manner that benefit all of us, not just them alone. That makes point. These people don't want Dangote to survive due to their corruption in the land. The ones they are importing to the nation, what is the quality? Eh, Dangote should be prosecuted along with Emefiele and Buhari for fraud. That's your own opinion. Highly disappointed in this government and pathetic for the less privileged and poor masses in this country, with daily deceitful official statement coming up every day. Not be lie. Not be lie. So thank you for listening. Let's have a comment. That is what Nigerian regulatory company is saying, that Dangote Refinery is not licensed to operate, and it's about 45% complete, and is asking for monopoly. That is bad. Now, while for this country, only God will help us when we things get better, when we things work, when we selfish interest stop overriding public interest in this country. Only God knows when.